Did you know that in 2025, more Americans are leaving the United States than at any time in modern history? Some reports suggest that millions are quietly relocating abroad, not just retirees, but young professionals, families, and even students. But here's the shocking part. Most aren't telling anyone. No headlines, no fanfare, just a slow, steady exodus. Why would people give up the so-called American dream? Is it because of money, safety, politics? Or is there something much deeper going on that few are willing to admit out loud? Today, we're uncovering the 10 powerful reasons driving this silent migration. And trust me, by the end of this video, you may start questioning your own future in America. Number 1. The cost of living crisis. For many Americans, the cost of living has reached a breaking point in 2025. Everyday essentials like housing, groceries, and utilities have climbed so high that families are struggling to keep up, even with two incomes. Imagine working 40 or 50 hours a week, only to see half your paycheck disappear on rent alone. In major cities like New York, Los Angeles, or San Francisco, it's not unusual for a small one-bedroom apartment to cost over $3,000 a month. Add in healthcare bills, childcare, and student loans, and suddenly the American dream feels more like a financial trap than a goal. That's why more people are quietly choosing to leave. Countries such as Portugal, Mexico, and Thailand are becoming popular destinations because they offer not only a lower cost of living, but also a better quality of life. In Lisbon, for example, a cozy apartment near the city center can cost less than half of what you'd pay in a mid-sized U.S. city. In Mexico, families can dine out, cover their monthly expenses, and even hire household help, all while spending less than they would on just rent back home. For many, this is not about luxury. It's about finally being able to breathe without the constant weight of bills. What's even more striking is the psychological impact. People who move abroad often say they feel less stressed, more free, and more in control of their lives. Instead of living paycheck to paycheck, they can actually save money, travel, and enjoy time with their loved ones. This shift has led to a new kind of migration, one not driven by desperation, but by the desire for a simpler, more balanced life. And when you think about it, who wouldn't want that? Number 2. Affordable healthcare abroad. One of the biggest reasons Americans are leaving the United States in 2025 comes down to something we all need at some point: healthcare. In the U.S., a single trip to the emergency room can leave you with a bill of thousands of dollars, even if you have insurance. For many families, it feels like health and financial stability can't exist at the same time. Medical debt has become one of the leading causes of bankruptcy, and the stress of knowing that an illness could destroy years of savings pushes people to look for alternatives. That alternative often lies overseas. Countries like Spain, Costa Rica, and even Turkey have healthcare systems that are not only more affordable, but in some cases ranked higher in quality than the U.S. In Spain, for instance, a doctor's visit can cost as little as $20 to $30, and prescription drugs are a fraction of American prices. Expats living in Costa Rica report being able to get comprehensive medical coverage for less than the cost of a single insurance premium in the States. Even routine dental and vision care, which often feels out of reach in America, becomes easily accessible abroad. But this shift isn't just about saving money, it's also about peace of mind. Imagine not having to think twice before going to the doctor. Imagine knowing that if your child breaks an arm, you won't be drowning in medical bills for years afterward. That freedom changes how people live. They feel safer, healthier, and more secure. For many Americans abroad, affordable healthcare isn't just a financial advantage, it's the foundation of a more dignified life. And once people experience that kind of security, very few ever want to go back. Number 3. Education costs. For families, one of the heaviest financial burdens in the United States is education. From preschool to college, costs are climbing higher every year, leaving parents and students drowning in debt. College tuition in particular has reached staggering levels, with the average student loan debt now sitting at tens of thousands of dollars per graduate. For many young Americans, starting adult life means starting with a mountain of debt and the stress that comes with it. Parents, too, feel the weight, sacrificing their own retirement savings just to help their children afford higher education. This is one of the biggest reasons many are looking overseas. In Europe, countries like Germany, France, and even the Nordic nations offer world-class universities at a fraction of the price, or in some cases, completely free for international students. Imagine graduating from college with little to no debt while still receiving a high-quality education. Families see this as a chance to give their children not only an academic advantage, but also a financial head start in life. Even private international schools abroad often cost less than some public options in the United States. The result? A growing number of American students and families are quietly making the move. They see education not just as a 4-year degree, but as a lifelong investment. And when that investment doesn't come with decades of debt attached, it changes the entire future of a family. For many, moving abroad isn't just about saving money. It's about rewriting the story of what education can be. And for parents, the chance to give their children freedom from debt is one of the most powerful motivations of all. We put a lot of effort into creating videos like this, and your support truly keeps us going. So if you found this eye-opening, take a moment to subscribe. It's just one click, but it means the world to us. And tell us in the comments, if you had the chance to move abroad, which country would you choose and why? Number 4, work-life balance. When people think about life in the United States, one phrase often comes to mind: all work and no play. Long hours, tight schedules, and the pressure to always stay productive have left many Americans feeling burned out. In fact, the U.S. is one of the few developed countries without guaranteed paid vacation days. For millions of workers, the idea of taking even a week off feels like a luxury. Add to that the rise of remote work expectations and the constant always-on culture, and it's no surprise people are craving a change. Abroad, the picture looks very different. In countries like France, Spain, and Germany, 5 to 6 weeks of paid vacation is the norm, not the exception. Shorter work weeks, stronger labor protections, and cultural values that prioritize time with family and personal well-being create a healthier balance. In Denmark, for example, it's common to finish work by 4 p.m. and spend the evening with family. In Spain, siestas and late family dinners remind people that life is meant to be lived, not just worked away. These systems don't just create happier citizens, they also support higher productivity because people are actually rested and motivated. For Americans who have experienced life abroad, this difference can feel transformative. Instead of measuring success by hours at a desk, they begin to measure it by quality of life, having time for hobbies, travel, and relationships. Parents talk about finally being able to eat dinner with their kids, while young professionals share how they rediscovered passions they thought they'd lost to stress. For many, moving abroad isn't just about escaping long work hours. It's about reclaiming the parts of life that truly matter. After all, what's the point of earning a living if you don't have the time to actually live? Number 5, mental health stress. The United States has become known as a place where stress levels run dangerously high. From the constant pressure of bills and work demands to the fast-paced hustle culture, many Americans feel like they're living in survival mode rather than truly living. Studies continue to show rising rates of anxiety, depression, and burnout, with millions struggling to find affordable care or enough time off to recover. For some, the never-ending cycle of stress is so overwhelming that leaving the country feels like the only way to regain balance. Abroad, the environment is often far more supportive of mental well-being. In places like Italy, Costa Rica, or even Japan, the culture itself encourages slowing down, connecting with others, and enjoying life's small pleasures. Italy's concept of la dolce vita, the sweet life, emphasizes savoring meals and prioritizing relationships, while Costa Rica's pura vida lifestyle focuses on simplicity, nature, and community. Even in countries with busy cities, the approach to work, health, and leisure often feels more balanced than in the U.S. Access to affordable mental health care also plays a major role, making it easier for people to seek help without the crushing financial burden. For Americans who decide to move abroad, the difference can be life-changing. Imagine waking up without the constant weight of debt, fear of medical bills, or pressure to overwork. Instead, picture yourself walking through a local park in the afternoon, meeting friends for coffee, or simply having the time to breathe. This is why so many are choosing to leave. Their mental health is worth more than the endless grind. At the end of the day, people are realizing that true success isn't measured by income alone, but by peace of mind, happiness, and quality of life. Number 6, safety concerns. For many Americans, one of the hardest realities of life in the United States is the ongoing concern about safety. News headlines are filled with reports of rising crime in certain cities, mass shootings, and everyday violence that leaves families constantly on edge. Parents worry about their children walking to school, young adults are more cautious about nightlife, and even simple errands can feel overshadowed by the thought of what if. This constant sense of unease has led many to ask a difficult question: is the U.S. really the safest place to build a future? Other countries often paint a very different picture. Scandinavian nations like Norway, Denmark, and Finland are consistently ranked among the safest places in the world, with low crime rates and strong community trust. Japan, for example, is famous for its safety, where children walk to school alone and lost wallets are often returned with cash still inside. Even in parts of Latin America and Europe, communities are structured around tighter-knit neighborhoods where people look out for one another, offering a sense of security many Americans feel has faded at home. For families raising children or retirees seeking peace of mind, this difference can be a major reason to move. The impact of living in a safer environment goes beyond crime statistics. It changes how people live day to day. Parents allow their kids to play outside freely, individuals feel comfortable walking home at night, and communities thrive when fear doesn't dominate public life. For Americans who relocate, this newfound sense of security often feels priceless. Safety isn't just about avoiding danger, it's about creating a space where people can live fully, without constant worry. And for many, that peace of mind is worth starting a whole new life abroad. Number 7. Climate environment. Another powerful reason many Americans are leaving in 2025 is the growing impact of climate change. From wildfires raging across California to record-breaking hurricanes battering the Gulf Coast, extreme weather is no longer a distant possibility. It's an everyday reality. Rising sea levels threaten coastal towns, while heat waves and droughts make daily life increasingly difficult in many regions. Families who once dreamed of a stable home in these areas are now facing insurance hikes, property damage, and even forced relocations. The truth is, climate instability is pushing people to consider whether the U.S. is the best long-term place to live. In contrast, some countries are becoming known as climate havens. Nations like Canada, New Zealand, and certain parts of Europe have not only milder weather patterns, but also stronger environmental policies designed to protect their populations. For example, Portugal has been praised for its investments in renewable energy and sustainable living, while Costa Rica is globally recognized for preserving its rainforests and commitment to green energy. These places not only feel safer from extreme climate events, but they also attract people who value cleaner air, access to nature, and a government taking real action against climate threats. The decision to move isn't always about escaping disasters. It's also about seeking a healthier lifestyle. Imagine living in a place where the air feels cleaner, where you can drink from natural springs, or where your home isn't under constant threat of destruction. For parents, it's about protecting their children's future. For retirees, it's about enjoying their golden years without worrying about the next flood or wildfire. In the end, the search for a more stable climate and environment is less about fear and more about hope, a hope that life can be safer, greener, and more sustainable somewhere else. Number 8. Remote work revolution. One of the most dramatic shifts in recent years has been the rise of remote work. What started as a temporary solution during the pandemic has now become a permanent way of life for millions of Americans. In 2025, countless jobs in tech, marketing, customer service, and even education can be done entirely online. This change has opened doors for people to ask an exciting question. If I can work from anywhere, why stay in one of the most expensive countries in the world? That question is fueling a wave of digital nomads and remote professionals moving abroad. In countries like Mexico, Colombia, and Indonesia, you can live comfortably on a U.S. salary while spending far less on housing, food, and daily life. Imagine renting a modern apartment in Medellin for under $1,000 a month, or enjoying beachfront living in Bali while paying less than the cost of a modest U.S. studio. Beyond affordability, many of these destinations have thriving expat communities, co-working spaces, and digital nomad visas that make it easier than ever to settle in. For workers, it's not just about saving money, it's about upgrading their lifestyle. The emotional impact of this choice can be just as powerful. Instead of being trapped in traffic for hours every day, people are working from cozy cafes, beachside villas, or mountain retreats. They're spending their evenings exploring new cultures instead of recovering from exhausting commutes. For many, this freedom feels life-changing. Remote work isn't just a trend. It's a revolution that has given Americans the chance to design their lives on their own terms. And once someone realizes they can live better, happier, and cheaper abroad while keeping their U.S. income, the decision to leave becomes almost irresistible. Number 9. Political polarization. In 2025, the United States feels more divided than ever. Turn on the news, scroll through social media, or even join a family dinner, and you'll notice how politics has seeped into every corner of life. Neighbors who once got along now find themselves at odds. Friendships are strained, and many feel exhausted by the constant arguments. This deep polarization doesn't just affect elections, it affects daily living. People describe feeling like they're walking on eggshells, careful about what they say and who they say it to, simply to avoid conflict. For some, the never-ending tension is becoming unbearable. That's why many Americans are choosing to leave for countries where the political climate feels calmer. Places like Portugal, Canada, or even smaller European nations offer environments where citizens still debate, but without the same intensity or hostility. Expats often talk about the relief of living somewhere politics isn't the center of every conversation, where communities focus more on culture, family, and lifestyle rather than constant division. While no country is perfect, the absence of extreme polarization can feel like a breath of fresh air. For those who make the move, the difference is more than just political. It's emotional. They feel less stressed, less angry, and more able to enjoy daily life without being dragged into constant debates. Parents appreciate raising children in environments where schools and communities emphasize unity over division. Retirees find peace in knowing their final years won't be dominated by constant political upheaval, and young professionals see an opportunity to focus on their goals instead of endless culture wars. At its core, leaving due to polarization isn't about escaping democracy. It's about escaping the toxic climate that has made America feel less like home for so many. Number 10. Retirement abroad. For decades, the idea of retirement in America was tied to comfort and security, working hard for years and then finally enjoying the fruits of your labor. But in 2025, that dream feels out of reach for many. Rising healthcare costs, expensive housing, and dwindling pensions mean retirees are finding their savings don't stretch nearly as far as they once imagined. Instead of relaxing, many older Americans worry about outliving their money or being forced to work well into their golden years just to cover the basics. This is one of the biggest reasons retirement abroad is becoming so appealing. Countries like Mexico, Portugal, and Panama offer not only a lower cost of living, but also warm climates, affordable health care, and vibrant communities of fellow retirees. In places like Mexico's Lake Chapala, retirees can live comfortably on a fraction of what they would spend back in the States. Portugal has even launched special residency programs to attract retirees, combining affordable housing with high-quality medical services. For many, the ability to stretch their retirement income while maintaining or even improving their lifestyle makes the choice clear. But moving abroad in retirement isn't just about money, it's also about quality of life. Imagine spending mornings at a local cafe, afternoons strolling along the coast, or evenings surrounded by friends in a welcoming community. Retirees often describe feeling more alive, more active, and more connected than they did back home. Instead of worrying about bills, they finally have the time and resources to focus on experiences. For many Americans, retirement abroad isn't an escape. It's a new beginning, one that brings peace, dignity, and joy to the years they've worked so hard to reach. The quiet migration of Americans leaving the United States in 2025 isn't about a single reason. It's about a combination of struggles that have built up over time. From skyrocketing living costs and healthcare expenses to stress, safety concerns, and climate change, people are realizing that the American dream doesn't always deliver the happiness and stability it once promised. Add in the rise of remote work, the search for better education, and the growing desire for balance and security, and it's no surprise that millions are making the life-altering decision to start fresh abroad. But what's most important to understand is this. These people aren't running away. They're moving toward something. They're chasing lower stress, healthier lifestyles, stronger communities, and more freedom. And whether you agree with their decision or not, their choice tells us something powerful about the world today. People want lives defined not by survival, but by quality, dignity, and peace of mind. So, what can be done? Does leaving the United States have to be the only solution? Not necessarily. For some, moving abroad truly is the best option, but for others, it's about making small changes at home that reflect what they're searching for overseas. First, start by re-evaluating priorities. Many Americans who move abroad say the real transformation came when they simplified their lifestyle. Living smaller, cutting unnecessary expenses, and focusing more on relationships and well-being can bring balance even without leaving the country. Second, take advantage of growing opportunities in remote work and flexible careers. The freedom that comes with location-independent jobs allows you to live outside expensive urban centers or even spend part of the year abroad while keeping ties to the U.S. This hybrid lifestyle is becoming increasingly popular in 2025. Third, explore healthcare cease and retirement alternatives. From negotiating insurance to considering medical tourism for big procedures, there are creative ways to reduce the crushing costs of U.S. healthcare without relocating permanently. And when it comes to retirement, planning earlier, downsizing, and researching international retirement options can create a safety net that brings peace of mind. Ultimately, the solution lies in designing a life that works for you, whether that means crossing borders or simply making bold changes where you are. The lesson from this global migration is clear. People don't just want to survive, they want to thrive, and you can begin taking steps toward that future today. We put a huge amount of effort into researching and creating these videos so you get real value, not just headlines. So tell us in the comments, if you had the chance to move abroad, where would you go and why? Don't forget to watch our previous video for more insights, and please support us by subscribing. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.